Hi, I'm Brad Sandlands from Quality Insight, and this is Insight Chat. So this YouTube channel is designed to help those people seeking residential aged care just get a bit of clarification on some answers, and also those people working within the industry on how to explain some of these terms to people so it's a lot more understandable, and that transition to care is the best experience it possibly can be. So today I'm going to talk about RAD and DAP. So RAD and DAP is one of those things that can leave people very confused and very concerned when they're initially coming into care. But quite frankly, it's only for a small segment of the market that RAD DAP is actually relevant for. So I'm going to talk you through what that looks like in a quite quick video. So this isn't massively lengthy, should only be 5 minutes. So the first thing to consider when you're coming in and you've been presented with a RAD DAP situation, it's based on means. So when you come into care, you're categorised through using an asset and income form, or it's called an SA 457. It will categorise you into one of three areas. So low means, which sometimes is referred to as fully supported or concessional. You could be moderate means or partially supported, or you could be high means or non-supported. I like the term low, moderate and high because anything around the supported, non-supported adds the confusion. If you come in as a high means resident, you are supported by the government in some way. You do have to co-contribute to your care, and accommodation is one of those areas where you actually have to pay all your costs. So that's where RAD DAP comes in. RAD DAP, quite simply, yes, we got the dollars come flying through. RAD DAP quite simply comes into three categories of payment. So if you are identified as a RAD payer or a DAP payer, you have choices in how you pay that. So the first one is the refundable accommodation deposit. That has a number of rules and regulations around it, and I'll go through that. Your second choice is to come in paying a DAP, or a daily accommodation payment. Some of the providers out there have different rules around what they would accept in a high means resident coming into care. They may only want to see a RAD payment. They may accept a DAP payment, or you can do a combination of the two, have a RAD DAP combination payment. You have every right to pick whichever one you want, and you have 28 days to make that decision post entry. So when you're looking at those, determining what you do pay, you've got those three options. You can pay a RAD, which is the lump sum amount. You can pay a daily accommodation payment, which is like a rent. I'll go into that a lot more, or you can do a combination of the two. In breaking down what these actual terms mean, let's start with RAD. So a RAD, quite simply, is a fully refundable lump sum payment. Now, you can draw down some fees on that, which would mean that you would then be paying some additional fees. But in the essence of it is there'll be an agreed room price, and you will pay the lump sum to the value of that price, which will mean you'll have no further accommodation costs. That RAD is fully refundable, and it's refunded back to the estate. So it doesn't come back to the EPOA. It doesn't come back to any other designated party. It goes back to what the estate is. And then that's dictated to by what the will stay. It has to happen with it. It does not accumulate interest, but it offsets other accommodation fees as long as you paid the full amount and there's no drawdown of your RAD. It can't be used by the provider for any operational expenses, but they certainly can use it for building improvements, capital expenses, paying down of debt, etc. It's designed post 2014 for providers to be able to build more homes and to be able to improve current homes. So taking them from the old school nursing home style to more modern updated areas. So that's what the RAD is all about. It's fully government guaranteed. So that means that if a provider cannot meet their obligation in paying back the RAD, the government will do that. And we've seen some instances of that over the last few years. If you fully pay the agreed room rate, as I said before, there are no further accommodation charges unless you have an agreed drawdown of that RAD. That aside, you are not expected to pay any other accommodation payments if you pay that full RAD. So, next steps. How do you pay for a RAD? Well, we can't tell you how to do that. I'm not an accredited aged care financial advisor. The simple question is, each individual circumstance is different. So what are your circumstances? And the best placed profession to help answer that is an accredited aged care financial advisor. These services generally will do an introductory call to work out, can they add value? If they can, there is a charge that goes with it, but that charge is insignificant to what could be saved in structuring how you would pay for a RAD, or would you go the DAP option? But certainly no one in the business, in the industry that's non-accredited, should be providing any sort of advice around, we'll sell your house to pay for a RAD. They simply just do not know the circumstances in the background, and it's very dangerous to give that sort of financial advice. So whenever I get asked, how would I pay for the RAD? It's based on individual circumstances, the facts of, here's how the RAD works, it's a lump sum payment, all those other things I went through. How you actually get to pay that RAD, you need to seek further financial assistance to do that. And there's some very good people out there that will help you through that. The next thing that you need to look at is, are you going to pay a DAP? So that's your second choice. So DAP is basically the daily accommodation payment. So what that means in essence is it's like a rent. So you'll pay based on an algorithm that works out the maximum permissible interest rate. So that's set usually intermediately throughout the year, coincides somewhat with interest rate increases, decreases that we see in the general market for mortgages from the Reserve Bank, but it's tied to the base interest rate. So that will fluctuate as that goes up and down. The DAP is basically what your agreed room rate is, the percentage worked as an annualized basis, and then represented to you as a daily figure. Daily figure is how the industry works, so that's why everything's represented back as a daily figure. But that could be that you've got an agreed room rate of 400,000, you'll have an MPIR of set amount, and it could work out, then punch out a number, for example, that you have to pay $50 a day as a daily accommodation payment. It's not a refundable payment, so it doesn't accumulate and you get money back at the end of it. It is strictly like a rent. Once you've paid it, it goes into the operational kitty of the home, and then they would disseminate that revenue as they need to. Some providers have some funny rules around fully DAP payers because they can accumulate debt quite quickly. You may need to require to sign a guarantor. Most businesses will require that generally anyway, unless you've paid a full RAD. So be prepared for those type of questions to come up as you go through. If you like everything you've seen here, or you want further information, please comment, like and subscribe to the video. Quality Insight is an organisation that is here to provide clarity for admissions teams. We've also got our own bed brokerage piece on the side, but we want to fully be able to explain what is going on in care and to help those people that are seeking care or selling care. Thanks again, and talk soon.